Hello, hello.
Hey there. How are you? How are you
I'm
doing?
I am doing amazing. I'm like so busy, obviously, with all the lives and all the arranging and organizing and stuff. But yeah, definitely doing great as always. Lots of yummy
Awesome.
food.
Yeah. So it is for us too. Yeah. We're just preparing dinner. We were making actually your recipe for the avocado toast. It just went in the dehydrator. Yeah. And yeah, we're super busy. We just came also home from shopping. Everything is just like all over the place. But this is an amazing time, I feel.
Yeah, it's still beautiful to come together in the evenings and yeah, talk to all these other raw vegans. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that we do this. Last time we did the bundle, everybody was going live with each other, but we didn't have a set schedule, and people were just going live randomly here and there. And all of our followers were like, "This is amazing," because they could just
Mm,
join in on any live and learn all kinds of stuff and learn about new people. Like I know a lot of my followers might not know who you guys are, right? And vice versa. So it's cool
exactly.
to connect everybody, the whole community, and connect with our followers and answer their questions, teach them stuff. It's so cool. So this time we wanted to have a set schedule so that people could see in advance and plan to be in the lives when they saw a topic that they wanted to learn about. So yeah, that's the cool thing about this bundle is it's not just a bundle, it's an entire bundle experience. It's like an online festival, so it's super cool.
It really feels like that, you know, and it's
Mhm.
coming together for the life and the people joining us is like, you know, just going into different rooms of in the same house, like a huge family, you know, and there's the same vibe, like I don't know, I feel like that's the best part about the Robigan community, that we come together as a family, even without knowing each other, you know, in person.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just feels so great. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know, and this is like the first time that we've actually talked, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people haven't had a conversation with each other yet. So for many people, it's the first time that we've been talking.
Yeah.
So like we follow each other, obviously, but to have like a conversation and to have everybody else enjoy the conversation as well, like ask their questions in the chat and learn a little bit. It's so much fun. And thank you both for being part of this bundle. Your book is awesome, awesome, and what you post is amazing. And I have been just in awe at your growth of your page, like the reels that you've been doing. Because I was searching on Social Blade to see how everyone was doing and everything, and your followers were like up like 4,500 in a month, in the last month. I'm like, whoa! It's because you provide value, you teach people, and you help people. You share those reels, which are so good. But yeah, definitely, we are so blessed to have you part of the bundle along with all the other creators. It's just such a great event. And this is the last bundle of 2021 for the Raw bundle. So people, if you want to buy the bundle, go to Fabio or Damian's Instagram bios and go grab the bundle. Grab the bundle and enjoy all the goodies inside.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like, it's been, honestly, it's been quite a hustle to um, bring everything in time, the ebook, creating the recipes, write everything and design the ebook. Besides our everyday work, you know, coaching and creating the program and everything on top, it's been really a hustle, but it's been really rewarding. I love cooking, I love preparing food, and it's been really fun to create all the recipes. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's super worth it also because we're bringing so much value to people. You know, it's not just the recipes, but everyone's ebook has something of each person. You know, it's also not just recipes, which is on its own super valuable. You know, um, for just having more fun in the kitchen, but also like so much knowledge and information in those and all those like 50 plus ebooks, you know, and it's still baffling me how, you know, just all of that knowledge, all of those years of experience is just for $50. Like it's, you know,
Right. Right. But it's only till November 1st. After that, people got to buy all
yeah,
the books separately. I had
exactly.
one of my followers ask in the chat if you guys could introduce yourselves to my followers.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Fabio. I was born and raised in Germany. We are currently living here together with my family actually. And yeah, maybe I share a little bit about my background story. So I'm vegan now for almost 6 years. And I made many mistakes in the beginning. I was not even plant-based. I was eating lots of replacement products. And then I felt better from what I was doing before. But I hit a plateau quite quickly, and then I started researching again what I can do to even be healthier. And instead of finding raw veganism and people like we are now ourselves and you are people who share a sustainable approach and eating enough and really creating beautiful recipes, I was getting into the whole detox thing and juice fasting and really restrictive approach. And I ended up really doing so many mistakes, harming my body, especially mentally, but also physically. And I got myself out of that eventually after being stuck with bulimia for 1.5 years. So it took me quite a while to figure out how to get out of that, but now it actually helps me to understand other people better who go through something similar, who also got influenced by a lot of these detox people. And I don't want to talk bad about them or bash them or anything, because in some cases it might really be necessary to do that. I don't know, but I feel like for most people who just don't feel best in their body and maybe have some minor health issues, a gradual transition is really what we are promoting as well, is really the way to go. To stick to it for life. It's not a quick fix for some health issue or to lose weight quickly. It's something to do for life, a lifestyle transition that goes with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Yeah.
man, thank you for sharing that, because it is really important to know that it's not that we're anti or like against all that kind of stuff. It's like I feel like it's become really trendy. Like it's put on a pedestal, it's the cure all for everything, and it's so trendy that everyone's doing it, and when someone does it online, everyone follows along whether they need it or not. And I feel like it's like you said, in some cases it's really necessary, right? In extreme, like last resort kind of a deal, not just for the random person to jump on and, you know, clean themselves out, when you can clean just like your book, The Sustainable Detox, which is in the bundle. And it's really good. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then my turn to introduce myself. So I'm Damian, and yeah, we have a really quite similar past with the eating disorder and how we got into it through like a restrictive raw vegan diet. Because, well, my journey really started when I was 15 years old, when I was really overweight. I was 110 kilos. For the Americans, it's like 245 pounds. And I had lots of health issues, like really bad skin, so lots of acne. You also had that, lots of eczema. And I also lost my hair back then when I was just 15 years old. So it's, you know, it's something that was going on with my body. But also, I was just tired of feeling the way I was feeling and looking the way I was looking. That just, you know, being laughed at and all of those things. So I just knew that I had to do something about it. So I started just eliminating processed foods and sugary drinks and all of those, like the first things that everybody tells you to eliminate when you want to eat healthier. And yeah, I wanted to cook more with plants, with more veggies and so on, because, you know, my intuition was telling me that that's the healthy way, you know, that's the way to do it. And even though I was learning to become a chef at the time, they don't really ever teach us how to prepare vegetables and like vegan, vegetarian dishes or anything like that, or even like a plant based dish, but even with animal products. It's all based on meat and fish and like lots of dairy and butter and all of those things. So I had to do it on my own, and I started researching online for some recipes that were more plant-based, and most of them were coming in vegetarian and vegan websites, and that's how I kind of found the whole lifestyle about veganism. And I got really intrigued, and I started researching more about health and nutrition, and eventually I ran into some raw vegans. The first person I heard about raw veganism was John Collar himself, but actually through his gardening channel, which was, you know, quite yeah, strange for me to hear about that. But anyway, I started following other raw vegans on Instagram, and started researching even deeper, started reading books and so on. But I still had some weight to lose, and I got myself into restricting myself a little bit, even unconsciously, of like calories, because I had some weight. You know, I was feeling great. I was feeling really, I had so much energy when I started the lifestyle, but eventually it just paid off. All that restriction of calories, you know, the cravings started to kick in, and I couldn't control myself. And the foods that I went to, you know, were very dense, very calorically dense, like chips, like pasta, like rice, all of those things, you know. And after what I've learned, what those foods do to our body, they're not the optimal. I really felt guilty about eating them, and just imagining what they were doing in my body, you know, all those things about like, oh, this is mucus forming, and this is gonna stop detox, and all of those things that you hear, especially in the detox community. I was really scared, and this was like I couldn't live with the thought of eating these foods, but at the same time I couldn't control myself, you know. So I had to force myself to throw up this food because I just couldn't bear with it, you know, with just the thought. Like I wasn't even getting any feeling like because I just ate, but I couldn't like think of what it can happen in a couple hours, how I'm gonna feel, and I just had to force myself to vomit. And this is how I got into an eating disorder, just more or less like Fabio, you know. And this is why yeah, we connected so deep. One of the reasons why we connected so deeply, and why we are sharing the message that we're sharing nowadays. It's just something that we feel that so many people are struggling with, you know, behind the scenes. Like they're not, they're ashamed of what they're going through. They don't know that they can reach out to someone, that they think that nobody will understand them, that, you know.
Or even unconsciously, like they are not conscious of that they are already doing mistakes, because in the beginning you feel great. Even if you're restricting and you feel great in the beginning, even on a juice fast, in the beginning it feels great, but it's not sustainable, and eventually it pays off. And then that's when the issues come up and the imbalances are created.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I noticed that too a lot. And I resonate with what you said, Damien, about people needing to reach out, because they'll do these restrictive ideas or whatever in their life, and they feel like if they're going to, if they're experiencing issues after doing a fast or restricting or whatever they're doing, if they reach out to the people that they look up to, those people are just going to, they don't do it on purpose, but they have like a gaslighty feel to it, where they like make you feel bad that you didn't do it enough, you didn't fast long enough, you didn't go deeper, you need to do it again, you need, right? And they're not addressing the fact that maybe that person didn't need that at the time in their life, right? Like, and also, so they feel guilty and they can't reach out to them because they know they're going to be told they did it wrong. And then I'm sure with you and for myself as well, I get a lot of those people who can't reach out to the people they follow. So they reach out to me, and I hear the stories. I hear all the stories from the other side. And I feel like it's because it's such a powerful healing modality for those people who really need it, that like, say somebody reverse their cancer by doing something, right? And then automatically everyone feels like, oh, well, if it reversed their cancer, then it's got to be good for my acne, or it's got to be good for this, right? And so they put everything into that one modality, but it doesn't. And then they just feel like disconnected. They don't know who to talk to. And then when they come to me, I just listen to their story and I validate it, because it happens way more often than we'd like to think. And the other side, like the people who are promoting it, don't always address the downsides of it long term, right? So yeah, I like that. I like what you said about that, that people should reach out to us if they have questions or concerns, or that if they have a story that they'd like to share. You can be heard. You can be heard, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and there's no judgment. There's no. Yeah, we just there for you to listen to your story, and whether. Yeah, there's no necessary commitments. You know, we do help professionally people like that. We help people transition, but we are also there for people to reach out in any case if they need it. You know, it's yeah.
And this is really so necessary to open up. Like, you are really not alone on your journey. You don't have to battle, like fight these battles yourself. And sometimes we even can't. Some people are able with a little bit of information to really overcome their challenges. But quite a lot of people, and I know myself, I was so deep into the whole thing, like without reaching out to people who really know what I was going through or who have the answers to do it in a better way, in a sustainable way, I would have, maybe I would still be stuck. So really don't feel like you are not worthy, or you, like, we really understand you and we know what you're going through. So yeah, this is also why we decided to be part of the bundle. Like, really, it's and share these myths. This is what we do in our book, in the Sustainable Detox ebook. We share these myths about detoxification and all these beliefs that people have, that what they need to do to heal their body, and yeah, share why we have a different approach to it, why it's not necessarily wrong, as we said many times now, but why there are different approaches, or there's a different approach that is more sustainable, and where you don't have to struggle or fight against cravings. Once you nourish your body properly and you do it right and you transition really step by step, it should get easier with time to eat healthier. It shouldn't be harder and harder, and the cravings get worse and worse. It should be easier with time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. Because when I first started raw, I started in like 2004, and I tried all kinds of diets, and I did fasts, and I did the restrictive, because I was stuck in diet culture mindset. It was like restrict your calories, portion control, eat high fat, low carb, sugar's bad, you know, all that detox culture stuff. And so when I would try raw, I would always be doing high fat or low calorie or both. But it was, and I did the fast too, and I was always in a restrictive state, and I was never able to sustain raw, and I couldn't do it. And I was always like, why is this not working? Like, why can't I make this work? And then I also would feel guilty. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was doing it right. I thought my body needed other stuff, and I was like, oh, well, maybe we're all different, right? And we are all different, because we wanted to talk about the gut microbiome, which is like your fingerprint of your gut, and everyone's gut microbiome's different. So everyone's going to come into a raw diet from a different place, right? And they got to work with their gut microbiome in this current moment and build it so that they can eat a wide variety and all of that stuff. But I was always under eating, and I was always having cravings, and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, I just wasn't fueling my body properly with enough adequate, proper fuel. And then I would just say, I would blame the diet. I would blame the fruits and vegetables. I would blame the fact that I wasn't eating animal products. I'd be like, oh, I guess I need animal products, or I guess raw isn't the way, or something like that. And it wasn't until I started eating enough and getting out of that restrictive mindset that I actually started thriving. And it's been 7 years. And I do occasionally get a person saying like, Lisa, you need to do like a 40-day fast or something. And I'm like, I don't. I really don't. I'm eating appropriately. My gut microbiome is super strong. I don't want to mess with that, right? I would reserve it to a last resort. And I also, I feel like if I was to do any kind of fast at all, it would be my body deciding to, not my mind. Because a lot of people say, like, oh, I'm going to go on this fast, right, for however many days, or I'm going to intuitively fast. But if the body has a signal for hunger, it's like, obviously the body doesn't want to fast, right? We're fasting because we think it's best for our body, but our body doesn't want to. So if by chance I was in a severe accident, or I had a severe illness, or maybe I got like a stomach flu or something like that, and I was just like, you could put Chris Kendall's raw vegan pizza in front of me. You could put my quiche in front of me. You could put like the most amazing raw gourmet, beautiful, like all my favorite things in front of me. And I would look at it and be like, I can't even think about drinking water right now. Right? That would be my body's way of saying, hey, let's take a little bit of time. I need to do something over here. Let's not eat for a couple hours. But then as soon as I felt hunger again, maybe a couple hours later, maybe the next day, I would eat. And that would be my way of doing like a little fast, listening to what my body signals are and not what I think I should be doing for my body.
Yes, I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
And this is the part that I love most about you and about the work that you do, besides your recipes, of course. But seriously, it's such a simple approach, right? It's just eating enough, eating a big variety, and transitioning into it. You know, if your gut microbiome is screwed up from your diet before, or maybe you inherited even a bad microbiome or something like that, you build it up very gradually, very step by step, you know, a transition. And eventually you will also get used to the new foods, and you will, essentially it's like you can decide the foods that you crave, and by eating more fruits and veggies, you will crave more fruits and veggies. So those cravings will also shift into the natural foods, into fruits, vegetables, into what is, you know, what our body is designed to eat. And I love that you advocate also for that, you know, wide diversity of plants in our diet, about the looking so much at the gut microbiome. You know, this is also a big part that is still, I feel, this subject about gut microbiome is still kind of missing in the raw vegan community. And I love that you're talking about this in your posts, and also in your book. Also, Nathan is talking about it in his new book, you know, and in his old book, the Dude Food.
Oh, the
book.
Dude Food, yeah, Dude Food.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So yeah, it's really one of the biggest reasons for, you know, also cravings, and the foods that we crave, and yeah, the transition towards the healthier foods. So yeah.
Well, I feel like once you touched on it a little bit, it's like once we found balance and you eat a wide variety of food and you eat enough, the need or the want to do a fast, it goes away. Even if it was there before and you thought, maybe I should do a fast to find balance. As soon as you found balance by eating enough and really not only eating fruit, but also greens, veggies, herbs, all of it, like nuts and seeds in low amounts, all of that, the need and the want for a fast goes away. You don't want to do it because you feel great every day. Like there's no need. It can't really get better.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, I feel like, because I see people healing on even cooked foods, like with lots of raw, and they're eating cooked foods, but it's about the variety, obviously. Yay, John Kohler. But the variety and the abundance, that is really what's healing. Because another topic too that we could bring in here is the detox symptoms. Because a lot of people, when they go onto a raw diet, I would say like 90 to 95% of the people that I talk to who are struggling are not eating enough. That's like the number one thing. They're just not eating enough foods. And then they have these detox symptoms where they're irritable, they're going on an emotional roller coaster, they are tired or sluggish, they have brain fog, they just don't feel like they feel better. Like Fabio mentioned, he felt better when he got off all of that stuff, but he didn't feel as awesome as he thought. But when you're going off of the cooked food and you go onto the raw food, if your gut microbiome isn't ready to handle that, that can also lead to some discomfort as well. But if you're under eating, you're going to have all the similar classic symptoms that people call detox, right? The roller coaster, the emotional roller coaster is a big one, because people will be like, oh, I went raw and all of a sudden my emotions were all over the chart. I started losing my hair. I lost my period for women. They feel sluggish and tired, and their blood sugar's all over the place, and they don't know why, but it's not because they're going through detox. It's because they're just not eating enough. And as soon as you eat enough and you provide the body everything that it needs, the symptoms go away, especially when people add greens to, like if they go on this like all fruit detox, or they do like a banana island or a melon island or something like that, and they get these like severe detox symptoms, but it's just they're not eating enough variety, and maybe they're not eating enough calories. And then as soon as they add greens back into their diet or add more variety, their symptoms go away. But it's not because those foods are stopping detox. It's because they're actually facilitating detox. They're actually making it better. They're pulling the toxins out of your body, and you're being nourished, so you're less likely to have those under eating symptoms. And then people just brush it under the rug. They're like, well, it's detox. It's detox. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, which causes even more problems because they continue on and get worse. And then eventually I've seen far too many people, sadly, going back to junk food and animal products because they just can't sustain this kind of a lifestyle. And it's really sad.
Absolutely true. Yeah, I love this. You know, many people get this kind of like list of what detox symptoms are, you know, and almost every single one of them can be also applied to just simply not eating enough, you know, and it's in most cases, 99% of the cases, it's just not eating enough. It's really that simple, and it's the first thing that we need to rule out. There might be some mild detox symptoms in the beginning, also going raw for sure, but it's not this kind of symptoms, you know. So most of the time it's really not eating enough, and especially if it's been going for a while. You're not going deeper into detox. You're not, yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Also that the kind of belief that
the worse you feel, the better you heal. Like
exactly. Yeah.
I was just gonna bring that up. I feel like a lot of people, it's like if they feel really crappy, that means they're healing, but that's not. It's like counterintuitive.
It could be common sense, but yeah.
Yeah, it can be really dangerous. I feel like because you shouldn't feel that way. We have what, 7 detoxifying organs in our body, and they're all working every single day to keep our body detox. We just have to get out of its way. And that doesn't mean eliminating foods and restricting our foods and going without food just to detox. And something else that I just popped into my head was a lot of people will say, well, look, they use Elvis as an example, and they say, well, when he had his autopsy done, they found like 17 pounds of fecal matter in his intestines, right? So automatically people assume that that's old fecal matter from like decades ago, and it's been there forever, and he needs to clean, right? And it's assumed that we all have stuff that's decades old in our colon. But I would say like most gastrointestinal doctors who go in and look in say there's no such thing as this impacted fecal matter. What it is constipation, right? If you're eating foods that don't move through your colon fast enough and you're only pooing once a week, right? where do you think all that food is? Right? So if you're eating, say, let's just use easy numbers, but say you're eating 5 pounds of food every day, and you're only making a bowel movement once a week. So that's 7 days times 5 pounds of food a day that you're not passing, right? That's 35 pounds of food, right? And it's not passing through the body. So it's not the fact that it's old stuff from decades ago. It's just that you're not eating enough fiber to move everything through your body properly.
Exactly.
And yeah, and I feel like people are scared that they have all, like, it's all fear-based for the most part. They're scared that they have too much old fecal matter. They're scared of the mucoid plaque. They're scared of eating cooked food. They're scared of all these things. And that's what it's in the mind. It's this like fear-based reason for doing things, fear-based reason for eating raw. And it shouldn't be done out of fear. Like, we should eat raw because we love raw and we feel good on raw, and we come at it from that perspective instead of from a fear-based, because a fear-based perspective isn't going to help either.
Exactly. And you know, I've been getting a lot of comments lately, especially after the few reels about pooping that I made. They went viral, really. And it's been attracting also lots of people into like a carnivore diet or like keto, very little plants, very little fiber. And they've been coming up with comments like, if you're pooping that much, you're just not absorbing the nutrition from the food, you know? I'm like, doesn't make sense. And they're like, I poop like once or twice a week because my food is highly nutritious and my body absorbs everything of it. And your food is just fiber that just needs to go out, you know? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, but okay. You know, yeah, this is really crazy.
Yeah, that's I've heard that one too, that we're not absorbing stuff. But I've also heard that we don't digest fiber, so we should be eating it. But they're failing to realize that, yes, it's a half truth because we don't digest the fiber, but our gut microbiome does, and that's their fuel. And I feel like too, when people are doing like juicing and they're drinking like tons of juice, they're like, I'm fueling all the cells in my body, but they're not. They're only feeding their body cells. They're not feeding the good microbiome because it's so low fiber. And depending on the type of juicer you have, some juices are like pretty much almost void of fiber, right? So you're not even getting any in. And it's like, it's interesting because if they care about nourishing every cell in their body, that includes the billions of bacteria that live in our gut as well.
Yeah, exactly. This is one part that they don't realize, that our system, our digestive system especially, is built to be working with like loads and loads of fiber. That's how it would be in nature. And this is really how, you know, it's incredible how nature works. Like, we work in symbiosis with all these microbes that come from the outside, and they work for us. And not only they help us digest all of those plants and extract more nutrients, but they also make so many nutrients, and they make so many like healing substances, and it's also part of it, you know. And it just more nourishing, makes food more nourishing when everything is just working properly. Yeah.
And when they digest the fiber, like, fiber isn't a fuel source until you have the gut microbiome digesting it, because they create the short chain fatty acids, which we can use for energy, and they're anti-inflammatory. So people with IBS, they technically need more fiber, but it's hard because they have IBS and it hurts. So what would you say for people with IBS, or who have like constipation and then diarrhea, and then constipation and diarrhea, and then when they eat fiber, it hurts? What would you say?
So I used to have IBS actually, and it healed very gradually with me introducing more and more plants. In the beginning it was mostly cooked plants, but also some salads and so on. But I was really just mostly constipated because I wasn't eating enough fiber, I wasn't drinking enough water, I wasn't hydrated enough so to pass all of that also. But it's really just you know, we need to go kind of through the discomfort a little bit in the beginning, but also um, we need to introduce gradually the fiber more and more in. We can help ourselves by sticking to what we are able to digest well. So, you know, that means that we have the microbes that digest that kind of fiber. So we can stick more to those foods in the beginning, you know, and introduce very gradually, like even if you can eat just one tiny handful of spinach in the beginning without feeling much, go with that. Even less, you know, if you feel like, I don't know, let's say broccoli, which is, you know, a little more tough to digest for many people, cruciferous vegetables in general. Just go for half a floret of broccoli if that's the only thing that you can digest in the beginning, and then build it up very gradually. And it might cause some bloating in the beginning, some discomfort, but we need to go through that because that's part of like the recovery. And yeah, the gas also can originate by, you know, like all that older fecal matter that has been like sitting in there for a bit because we haven't been eating enough fiber. It can kind of ferment together with a new fiber on top of that. So it is a little bit of like a period of discomfort, but we need to go through it and we need to understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree totally. And it's not like the detox, right? Where and it's only uncomfortable because you have a weaker microbiome. And I feel like a lot of people demonize like the broccoli or the cabbage and stuff like that because they can't digest it. So immediately they're like, well, broccoli and cabbage are bad because if they can't digest it, they assume everyone else can't. So then they make memes and stuff saying like cabbage and broccoli aren't meant to be digested by humans and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, your gut microbiome is out of balance, and that's why you have an issue with those foods. But for example, for me, I can eat 3 cups of shredded cabbage with a cup of broccoli and mushrooms and onions and radishes and 3 types of greens and carrots and everything in one salad, and I have zero problem. But it's also been 7 years. I've been growing my gut microbiome for years and years, adding more volume and more variety and playing with different choices of foods and making sure that I eat them often. Like there's people who will eat, say, broccoli once and then they don't have broccoli for another month or 2, and then they immediately have like 2 cups of broccoli with their rice or something, and they get the worst gas ever because they just don't eat broccoli on a regular basis to maintain. So it's also about maintenance, right? We have to keep eating volume and variety to keep our gut microbiome happy and healthy too.
That is so typical. And I kind of want to talk about a story of someone. I don't want to name names and point fingers at anyone, but you know, this is the typical guy that eats mostly fruit and lots of juices, and it's quite deep into like fasting sometimes and all of those things, you know. And then one day he goes and makes a huge salad with all kinds of stuff, lots of sauerkraut, avocados, and lots of different kinds of veggies, you know, and he enjoys it for the taste and so on. But then he's like, we're not meant to eat vegetables. We're not meant to eat all these greens because I got so bloated. I felt terrible, you know. But it's like, no wonder, you know, you haven't been eating any greens, especially sauerkraut, when you know, that can create kind of quite a big discomfort in the gut. And I'm like, you know, that doesn't mean necessarily, you know, you don't jump to conclusions that you're not meant to eat greens or vegetables because you like one day just got super bloated after like not having been eating these foods for such a long time.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good point. And I see it quite often. And then people get really restrictive with what they can eat because then they eliminate the greens and they eliminate the cabbage and they eliminate all of that because it bothers them. So now they're stuck with maybe like a handful of things. And of course, fruit's going to digest really fast. And it's not like we're against fruit, obviously. We eat a lot of fruit, and fruit is amazing, and it's necessary, massive part of our diets. But when it's only the only thing that you're eating, then you're only growing those bacteria. And then when you do introduce those other foods, your gut is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I don't normally digest this. So it sits and ferments because you don't have the species. I actually read a quick study. I skimmed it over, but there was this one guy who, and I know none of us are eating McDonald's for 10 days, but he ate McDonald's for 10 days and he lost 1,400 different species of bacteria in his colon after only 10 days of eliminating fresh fruits and vegetables. So when you're eliminating these things from your diet, yeah.
Yeah, on top of that, I believe what also made like killed all of those bacteria, and it was not just restricting the foods that were supporting those bacteria, but also all the preservatives and the chemicals that are in this fast food and in all the processed and canned foods, you know, that are basically made to be sterile, to kill bacteria, to last for a very long time on the shelf without getting spoiled. And this is also, like, I feel like one of the biggest reasons why we have so many health issues in today's world is because of all the preservatives and the everything that kills the bacteria. You know, and
yeah, our water and what we put on our skin, the air we breathe.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, it's kind of sad that we got to this point, really. Honestly, because
it really is.
Yeah, have you actually had any gut issues, any like bloating in the beginning when you were starting eating more salads and veggies and so on?
That's a great question. In the beginning, I didn't have the classic detox symptoms because I was eating enough, obviously, and getting a lot of variety. But I did have a little discomfort in the beginning, like a little extra gas, that kind of thing. And this was really interesting. So Nate and I have been eating raw for feels like forever, but up until we got our vacuum blender, we had air, like it's normal because we were consuming a lot of air in our smoothies and sauces and soups and stuff because you're blending the air into your smoothie, and then when you drink it, you're swallowing the air. So it's not the food, it's the fact that you have air and it just passes. It's got to go somewhere, right? So it passes out. When we switched over to the vacuum blender, we didn't obviously change what we were eating. The air decreased dramatically. Like we were like, whoa, simply by not blending air into our smoothies. It was amazing. But in the beginning, I didn't have too much. I did have some discomfort, and I feel like for me, I naturally, intuitively went slow with certain things, like sauerkraut, for example. I started with only like a teaspoon of sauerkraut, and I used the juice to start. I just had a little bit of juice in my dressing sometimes, or I would put like a tablespoon of sauerkraut in my salad, and I would do that for a little while, and then I would slowly increase. Because I knew from working at the health food store, when you are adding like the probiotic stuff, you have to start slow with that. Otherwise, you're going to feel so uncomfortable because you're introducing so many new bacteria in there. And somebody had asked in the chat about getting the bacteria back. Like once you've lost it, how do you get it back? And I feel like for me, I want to hear what you guys think, but obviously increasing the variety and working slowly with your body to grow and build that back, but also eating a lot of like wild foods or garden foods that have like the bacteria on the soil. Like instead of like scrubbing it with like an antibacterial everything, you just kind of rinse it and you still have that bacteria on the fruits and veggies. But I wanted to hear your guys' perspective on that. Like, how do you regain what you've lost if you've done some restrictive stuff in your past?
Sure. First of all, that's super interesting with the vacuum blending. I didn't even think that that could be also one of the benefits of it, you know, besides
It's
the
like our favorite benefit.
doesn't oxidize and so on. But yeah, anyway,
Hmm.
yeah, I have the same opinion about reintroducing bacteria in the gut microbiome. One of the best ways is, of course, the probiotics, but it is kind of a restricted, you know, variety of microbes that we introduce in the gut microbiome through probiotics, whatever it is, whether it's capsules or whether it's fermented foods. It's quite like not there's not a huge variety of species in there. And one of the best ways is like by introducing more variety of foods in our diet, and especially wild foods, so foraged foods, stuff from the garden. And I like to just grab, for example, a carrot from my garden and just eat it, you know, without washing it. Like even if it's there's some soil on it, I just shake it off a little bit, and I don't care if there's some soil on it. You know, so many people are like, I used to be that person actually. You know, it's kind of like a belief that it's put into our mind that everything like in the soil, everything like supernatural and grown organically, it's kind of dangerous, you know. And I used to really think this when I was starting to grow my own food, and this was a huge limiting belief that it was like I was almost scared to eat something from my garden that I grew myself because I was like, is this clean enough or is this good enough? I don't know.
Hmm.
And we know that there's like wild bacteria everywhere in nature, in the soil, on the vegetables, in the vegetables themselves. You know, a carrot, an apple has its own microbiome, and that's what goes into our gut and what stays if we keep providing that those foods and those fibers into it. So
Hmm.
yeah, those are the best ways of reintroducing it.
Yeah, and I've also heard that like when you're taking the capsules, I really love that you mentioned that there is very like limited amount of species in the capsules. And on the bottle they'll say like 50 billion, right? And it's like, but it's only like 7 species. When we
Exactly.
have like thousands, if not tens of thousands of bacteria in our colon, bacteria species, and you're introducing 7, right? It's not going to be an incredible benefit. However, when you do take the capsule, it does help while it's going through your system, but it's not meant to replace, because we have to eat the variety and we have to get, like you said, the soil and really be in our environment. Because a lot of the nutritional deficiencies that we have these days that vegans are worried about, like B12, vitamin D, K2, that kind of thing, those are from our environment, right? If you're living in a city and you never go outside, like, doesn't matter what you eat, you're probably going to need to look at taking B12 or taking a vitamin D supplement. Like when I was living in Canada, I took a vitamin D because I hardly ever saw the sun. And it was like super cold outside. So it's not like I was going to go outside and have the sun on my skin for 20 minutes when it's minus 30, right? I'm not going to do that.
Mm.
So I had to take supplements because of my environment. But if we are spending a lot of time in nature, we have our own garden, we're spending time in the sun, and we're getting that variety of food, then we are providing our gut with that wide variety of bacteria. And people who eat over, I think it was the study, they said people who eat over 30 different varieties of plant food have the strongest gut microbiomes. They have the best production of serotonin. They have the strongest immune systems. And that's only 30 varieties of plant
Yeah.
foods, right? They're studying it compared to the average person who only eats like 5 plants a week,
Mm.
right? And so
Yeah.
these people eating 30 plant food varieties, imagine those who are eating 80. Because Nate and I wrote a list down of all the different foods that we eat within a week, and it was over 80 different varieties,
Yeah.
right? Of fruit and greens and all kinds of stuff, sprouts and microgreens and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is super important. And then take that 30, you know, which might seem so much for many people, and multiply it by 10 for example, you know, like there's many hunter-gatherer tribes in Africa or Southeast Asia or in America, and they eat like hundreds of different plants throughout the year. And that keeps their gut microbiome super healthy. And yeah, it just adds so much value to their health, you know. And it's really, many people couldn't even name like 100 different plants, I think, right?
Yeah, and that's really sad. It's really sad that we do. I remember I was working at a donut shop when I was like, I don't know, 19 or something. And I struggled with gut dysbiosis for 15 years. I had candida for 15 years, and I did, like I said, I did the fast, I did the candida detoxes like crazy. I did the yeast buster kit with the psyllium bentonite, caprylic acid cleanse for 9 months straight, trying to get rid of my candida, and my naturopath had me on it. But I was also restricting, I was eating animal products, I wasn't eating processed foods, but I was severely restricting my calories. And during that time, I was working at this donut shop, and I brought with me my lunch, which was just, it was super simple. It was like animal protein with rice and some zucchini. But when I sat down for lunch, there was this other girl who was sitting there with me, and I'm eating the zucchini, and she was like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's zucchini." And she's like, "I have never heard of what, zucchini?" She had never even heard of it. So there's so many plant varieties, like there's tens of thousands of things that we can eat. But another problem is that we don't have the access to them. Like we don't have it, especially in certain areas, like food deserts, for example. They have a very limited amount of foods. I remember one of my friends was working north in Canada, and the only fruit that she could get was bananas, oranges, and grapes, and they were all super expensive because they were shipped into this little tiny town in the middle of nowhere. And she was like, "It's really hard to eat variety here." And I'm like, "Well, just do your best, try your best to eat as much variety where you are so that you're able to get that in your own situation." But honestly, growing your own food, like what John Kohler does, he's got probably the most variety of food of anyone that I've ever met.
Yeah. Goals. Yeah.
That is also one of our goals, like kind of what I touched on in the beginning. The diet is great and eating so much variety is awesome, but really adjusting your lifestyle to that, and step by step, you don't have to quit your job overnight and live in a farmhouse and just, I don't know, live off the land. That's not gonna happen, you know. We have to be realistic and go step by step with our lifestyle as well, so it doesn't overwhelm us and we can adjust to it. But I think once we saw that in one of our clients, she was living kind of like, I don't know, going out to restaurants a lot and just living a quite normal, typical lifestyle. And once she switched very quickly from eating, basically lots of restaurant food and animals and
Like a standard diet.
And she switched so fast to lots of fruits and veggies. And quite quickly also, she mentioned to us, "I don't really relate to my friends that much anymore. I feel like I just want to go out in nature. I almost want to move out of the city," like all of these things that start happening. And this is how we can really make it sustainable for us long term, also for our mental health as well. Like adjust our lifestyle and start growing our food. And I really can't wait to get into it and really grow this diversity of fruits and vegetables that I don't even know of, and learn all about that.
Yeah. I have a huge list of things that I want to grow in my future garden. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and for those people who can't grow gardens, we obviously are really big proponents for microgreens, because you can grow a wide variety of foods that you normally can't get, that you would normally not eat, like radish sprouts and microgreens, for example. Like normally when we eat radishes, we just eat the root, right? We don't eat the greens and all of that kind of stuff. So by adding the microgreens, right? Some of us do. But for the most part, people don't, they just eat the root and they don't eat the rest of the plant. when you can eat so much of plants like carrot greens and celery greens and all of those other greens. We can eat those too. But by growing your own, if you live in a city, and I know like so many people do, and they're like, well, I can't grow a garden, I don't have access, blah, blah, blah. Microgreens and sprouts are some of the best things that you can add to increase variety, because our gut microbiome really likes legumes and the fibers in like nuts and seeds and stuff, but when they're sprouted. So sprouting lentils and mung beans and like there's so many different varieties of lentils, and each one feeds a different group of bacteria. So every bacteria group thrives on different things, and by increasing the variety, you increase your gut microbiome. You just have to remember to maintain it, right? Constantly eating that wide variety. But yeah, radish and broccoli, like broccoli microgreens are so incredible. They have so much to offer. And you could do broccoli microgreens and mature broccoli and get different kinds of fiber from either or, right? So that in itself counts as variety. Even though you're eating broccoli, you're eating two different kinds of broccoli with different kinds of fiber and different levels of nutrition.
Yeah. There's a comment here. Someone's asking, can you show us how to sprout? And I would say, get the ultimate raw vegan bundle, and you will see also Lisa's husband. It's husband right now, right?
Yeah.
Ebook about growing microgreens and sprouts, and it's amazing. And you can get it in Lisa's link in her bio, or either of us. And besides that, all of the other ebooks and so many incredible recipes and so on. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and to learn how to sprout as well, it's really easy. But Nate is also doing a daily grow along. So every single day he's going live and he's showing how we do it. And he's saving them all to his IGTV so people can watch them in order, like day 1, day 2, day 3, of exactly what we do. And there's people who are going to do different things. Like we don't use soil, we use coconut fiber as our growing medium, but you could use soil, you could do it in many different ways. But we're going to share what we do every single day for a grow along. So people who are interested in learning how to grow sprouts and microgreens, Nate is doing that every single day until the end of the bundle. So you get to see how we rotate our greens, how we do our greens and sprouts and all that kind of fun stuff. So for those of you who don't have access to a garden, and many of us want to have a garden but don't have land or whatever, but we can make better choices by growing in our house, even just a small amount, even if it's just 1 tray. At least you're doing something and you're growing yourself. And plus, as a bonus, seeds are one of the best forms of food storage for raw vegans. So people who might be worried about food shortages or anything like that, getting lots of seeds to sprout is going to be one of the best things you can do, because all you need is like 2 or 3 tablespoons of seeds makes so many sprouts, and you can grow them in land wherever you are. So sprouts are like the best. Seeds, go grab some seeds from wherever you can. Yeah, Zuzu's in the chat, she said Perfect Food Inc. also has a great book about microgreen recipes for smoothies. But Perfect Foods Inc. has lentils, broccoli, and radish sprouts. We get some of ours from True Leaf and Mum's Sprouting Seeds in Canada. So like, as long as you just go on and get like a wide variety of seeds and stock up and then eat them, grow some of your own food. It's so rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've been doing the live for a bit, and we covered a lot of amazing topics, and I really loved connecting with you finally.
Yeah, totally. We'll have to do another one with Nate. We'll have to plan another one for sure.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah,
me too.
We have to do this more often anyway.
Oh, great. Yeah, we so need to do more of these for sure. But thank you guys so much for having me on your channel. This was such a pleasure.
It was really great having you with us. Yeah. So yeah, have a great day, and thank you everyone who tuned in, and yeah, see you tomorrow for another live.
Yes, awesome. Bye everyone.
Bye bye.